What is the single fastest way to load a plane full of people? It sounds like it should be simple. It is not. You cannot just fling the doors open and let everyone stampede in like cattle through a gate. We are, after all, slightly more civilized than that. Slightly. We are primates. So the real question is this: how do you herd a few hundred anxious monkeys into a narrow metal tube in the least agonizing way possible? Airlines think they have the answer. They are wrong. And the genuinely maddening part is that the method almost every airline on Earth uses isn't just bad. It is very nearly the worst method that exists. Their tool of choice is the boarding group. The idea seems reasonable. Instead of a free-for-all, you sort the monkeys into a tidy order and let them on a batch at a time. Prioritize, organize, impose order on chaos, and there's real money riding on getting it right. A plane only earns its keep when it's in the air. Every extra minute it sits at the gate, doors open, is a minute it's burning money instead of making it. So you'd think speed would be the whole point. Hold that thought. Here is the solution almost everyone reaches for first. You're filling a tube, so fill it from the far end, board the back rows first, then work forward, back to front. It feels obvious. It feels sensible. It's easy to explain and easy to enforce. And that right there is the warning sign. There seems to be a quiet law of the universe. The solution that is the first thing you think of, that looks sensible and that is easy to implement, is very often a terrible one. The kind of bad idea that, once adopted, haunts civilization for decades. Voting systems, for example, and as it happens, airplane boarding. So let's watch back to front actually happen. The first group marches to the rear of the plane. Everything is smooth and hopeful right up until the very first person reaches their row and stops to stow their bag. And now the entire line behind them simply waits. Passenger number 2 can see their seat. They could sit down in 3 seconds flat. But they can't, because one human being ahead of them is wrestling a roller bag into an overhead bin, and the aisle is a single lane with no way around. So everyone stews. Because here is the real villain of this entire story, and it is not the seating chart. It's the bags. Stowing luggage is what actually eats the clock when a plane boards. Every time one passenger stops dead in the aisle to hoist a bag overhead, every single person behind them, inside the cabin and still trailing down the jet bridge, freezes with them. Engineers even have a name for it, a full-stop stow. And you can feel each one, can't you? The tiny grains of your one and only life, quietly draining away while a stranger repacks their carry-on for the 3rd time. So if bags are the problem, then the goal of any good boarding method is simple. Stop making everyone wait on one bag at a time. What you want instead are 2 magic moves. The first is a pullaway, where the line splits so 2 people can stow at once instead of one after the other, turning one queue into 2. The second is a parallel, where 2 or more people stow their bags at the same moment in different rows, so their delays overlap instead of stacking up end to end. Pullaways and parallels are the whole game. Every second of overlap is a second nobody has to spend waiting. And back-to-front boarding produces almost none of them, because it deliberately crams everyone into the same corner of the plane at the same time. That is the one arrangement practically guaranteed to make people wait on each other. Now let's get sinister. Suppose you didn't merely want a mediocre boarding method. Suppose you were a cartoon villain and your single goal was to waste the maximum possible amount of human life on one flight. What would you design? Not back to front. You go front to back, boarding the front rows first, and you'd make the groups as tiny as you possibly could. This way nearly every shuffle forward ends in a full-stop stow, because the people already parked at the front block everyone's still waiting behind them. It is mathematically about the slowest system a person could invent on purpose. Look familiar, because that is more or less how a real plane begins. A real cabin isn't one uniform tube, it's split by class. And first class boards first, front to back, before economy files in behind them. So before a single economy passenger has even moved, the airline has already served up a small dose of the slowest boarding method money can buy. Which raises the obvious question. If faster methods exist, and they do, we're getting there, then why on earth do airlines cling to the slow ones? And here's the answer you already half suspected. It isn't really about speed at all. It's about money. First class pays for perks, sometimes eye-watering sums for them, and boarding early, strolling past the whole queue while everyone watches, is one of those perks. Airlines also hand out loyalty status that bumps frequent flyers up the pecking order, which gives them yet another reason to sort everyone into ranked groups in the first place. Boarding order was never really an engineering decision. It's a business one. Speed is simply not the thing they're optimizing for, which is a shame because airlines used to use a faster method and you will not believe how sophisticated it was. Ready? They let people get on in whatever order they showed up. That's it, no groups. Just the planes here, go ahead, find your assigned seat. And doing nothing, pure unorganized chaos, is genuinely faster than the neat little boarding groups that replaced it. The reason is beautifully stupid. Random passengers are spread randomly through the plane, which naturally scatters them into lots of pullaways and parallels. The tidiness we so proudly added made things worse. To have literally done nothing would have been faster than the something we now so carefully do. But surely we can beat random if we actually stop and think about it. So let's think. Here's a clever one, board by seat column instead of by row. Everyone in a window seat first, then everyone in a middle seat, then the aisles. Window, middle, aisle. This is basically random done 3 times, once per column, but it has one extra trick up its sleeve. It kills the other source of delay, the seat shuffle. You know the one. You're happily settled in your aisle seat when the person with the window seat arrives, and now you have to stand up, step out into the aisle, and let them pass, blocking the queue the whole time. Boarding window seats first means that awkward little dance never has to happen. Sounds like a big win. Except, and this is the twist, when researchers actually simulate boarding with real math, or run real-world experiments with real humans and real bags, the seat shuffle turns out to be almost a rounding error next to the luggage. The person whose bag absolutely will not fit. The person who brought 3 carry-ons because surely the rules don't apply to them. The person who stows their laptop, sits down, then remembers they wanted their laptop. Those delays dwarf everything else. So window middle aisle is faster than back to front, and a hair faster than random, which is exactly why some airlines use it, but it's no miracle. Mostly it just hands them tidy groups to keep playing their loyalty games with. So the 2 methods almost every airline on Earth uses are back to front and window middle aisle. Watch for which one is happening to you next time you fly. But we came here for the fastest method, so let's leave the real world entirely, with its classes and smells and screaming toddlers, and ascend to the realm of pure physics. The place where cows are perfect spheres and people are flawless little robots who follow instructions without error. In that idealized world, what is the theoretically fastest way to board a plane? It looks like a ballet. There are no boarding groups at all. Instead, every single passenger stands in one exact, precise order and files on. Back to front, yes, but in alternating rows on alternating sides, window seats first. Done right, this arrangement lets an enormous crowd stow their bags in parallel all at once, spaced so perfectly that no one ever waits on the person ahead of them. It has a name. It's called the Steffen method, after the astrophysicist who worked it out. And in real experiments on a real mock cabin, it has boarded a plane in roughly half the time of back to front. Half, it is genuinely, almost hypnotically efficient. And it will never, ever happen, because it demands the one thing humans simply cannot supply, hundreds of strangers standing in a precise, individually numbered line and executing it without a single mistake. Tell people to line up as passenger 41, then 43, then 45, and they will revolt. Split up a family so the perfect pattern holds, and you'll have a mutiny at the gate. And even if the Steffen method were running flawlessly, and even if it were faster, people would swear it felt slower, because consciously watching a clock always feels slower than just living your life. The perfect method is a gift we are simply not built to receive, but we can steal a shadow of it. Instead of demanding an exact one-by-one order, you keep the good bones, the sides, and the alternating rows, and you loosen everything else into just a handful of groups. Group 1, one whole side of the plane, every other row. Group 2, the other side, those same rows. Then groups 3 and 4 fill in the rows you skipped. 1, 2, 3, 4. A pattern loose enough that actual humans can follow it. This watered-down version still captures a lot of the parallel stowing magic. It still lets families and friends board together. It still hands airlines the tidy groups they love, and it is meaningfully faster than what almost everyone uses today. We are never going to board a plane perfectly. Perfection needs spherical cows and obedient robots, and what we've actually got is a tube full of tired, hungry, bag-wielding primates who will always find some fresh new way to stop the line. But between the method we use and the method we could use, there is a real measurable gap. Minutes of everyone's life on every flight every single day. Reaching for perfect will always leave us a little short. Getting closer, though, that part is entirely within our reach. If you enjoyed watching one simple question spiral straight into chaos, stick around because this whole channel is exactly that, and the next one is already waiting for you.